exhaust system. Shit's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna have the sickest M4, bro. Give me time. All right, hold on. This is good. Zoom link's been sent. All right, let's do the analysis, man. Before I get off topic here, we'll get back to that convo later. All right, chat. Carbon fiber tips, of course. Take your warranty. My warranty is already basically done. It's an M4. It's an FA2, so you know you don't got that many years left on the FA2 because they stopped making FA2s like in 2020. All right, chat. So let's take a look at today's charts. All right, so I got no idea what's going on right now with the price action. I'm being straight up, you know. And also I want to show you guys or tell you guys that that's completely fine. You know, you don't always have to know what's going on. Sometimes you might be in a situation where things might not make sense yet, but it takes a couple tries in order for you to really understand what's happening today. So like me, my first analysis today might not be on point, but my second, my third, my fourth might make a lot more sense to me, right? So during the stream, you're gonna see me redo my analysis. I might see things that, you know, I don't see right now, right? By just sitting here on a chart, seeing price move, because sometimes you just need a little refresher to come back to. So that's what looking at price does for the first, you know, couple minutes of the day or a couple candles of the day. And that's kind of why I like to come before NY Open, because NY Open is at 8, right? So anything before NY Open, realistically, we won't really catch a lot of trades in. We usually catch trades after NY, but at least NY Open or pre-NY, we could spend that time, you know, warming up our eyes, I guess, because that's our favorite indicator, right? That's what we use. So gotta make sure we understand what's happening today on all time frames, what's happening today in terms of direction and in terms of ranges, right? So those are the things I'll look out for here. So this is what I'll do here. So first thing is I'm gonna take a look at the monthly time frame. All right, so monthly time frame, what's going on here? Monthly shows that you broke the lows, right? Just a little refresher. I know we broke the lows 2 days ago, but just a refresher, we broke the lows. There was once a resistance right around here on price, right? At what level is this? This is price at 1991. So there was once a resistance there, right? And now there's some type of support right around here in this range here, 1800. So if this is the range we're in, right, there's a high chance. Again, you have 14 days left. And if you have, let's see, let me just check something real quick before I forget, because I want to see. You have 14 days left. What's the most major folder this month? So today, by the way, we have unemployment claims, so pretty big day, but I'm trying to see if there's like FOMC or NFP or anything like that coming up, or just CPI or something that would be a catalyst for price, because that will affect the monthly, and that does affect your analysis, right? So far nothing here, nothing, ADP, nothing major, employment claims, nothing major. NFP on a September 1st. Okay, so September 1st is NFP. That's the last week of August though, so that's the last day of the month, right? So now I'm asking myself, well, what could happen for the monthly to finish off? And the only thing that might make sense to me maybe is if you continue to push down until August 31st, and then August 31st, since you have news NFP, it might pull back for the bottom wick on the monthly. That's a possibility, right? Again, these are just like scenarios I'm putting out there just so later on the road, if something else were to line up like the weekly or the daily or the 4 hour, I'll be like, okay, cool, monthly pulling back for a last day of NFP, right? Something might click one of these days. So I'm just, again, putting info out there. So that's a scenario that can happen, right? So let's understand that that's something we can take away from the monthly right now. Drop down to the weekly. What's the weekly doing? The weekly looks like we are going to be closing in 1 day here. So today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday, tomorrow's when we close off, and it should be a new weekly count next week. So what we noticed this week was that you had a support somewhere around here and you closed below. So what that indicates for us is that you should continue to push down now towards next support. So I'm looking left now. I'm trying to see, okay, well, last time price closed below this range here, where did it drive down towards, right? And when price did not close below the range, where did it reject that? So I'm trying to find a medium average of those two, right? So let's say, for instance, let's say for instance, I am looking at the next support and I'm going to draw my support. Well, before I do that, actually, let me show you guys how I do it. So I would take out this rectangle tool. I'm scanning left to right, right? Sometimes this rectangle tool gives me a better visual of where price is. But yeah, I'm looking left to right here. I'm looking at the times where price closed below, coming up from here, like coming up from above, obviously 1920 and closing below, right? So I've noticed that this closed below, this closed below, this I guess closed below, this closed below, and I think that's it. So okay, off of those closures below, where did you drive down towards after you closed below, right? So now you can probably take out a different color and then highlight the levels. So we came down to here this time in the box. This time we came around, came down to here, started to reject, I guess. This time around, came down to here, started to reject. Came down to here, started to reject. This one, okay, cool. So if this is what you got going on now, so all you gotta do really now is draw a line from here to here to here, right? Because that's like where you have rejected in the past. So there are different levels, right? They're not the same price points. So you want to try to find the medium average now. Like, what's the medium average of these 4 circles here, right? So, you know, if let's say, I guess you can take out this color and draw a line to a point where all the levels touch, right? So I'll say like right here. This one that doesn't touch really, but I'll say that's the medium average, right around there. All right. So let's go ahead and put this line here, make it visible, and delete everything else. So you guys got that, right? You see how, like, you know, this is touching that, this is touching that, this is touching, this is touching. Medium average, this is the average of where price is rejecting off of. We delete all of that, and that's what you got. So if that is where I'm looking at now for the weekly, if that's where we're expecting price to drop down towards, what else makes sense here? You have clean traffic. Look left. Most recent support, you close below the range here, right? So if you're closing below the range on the most recent support, there's a high chance you're gonna come down to fill the next range now, right? And that takes you down towards where? 1957. Looking left, what level is that? Or at least coming down to here. Let's see where that level is exactly. I'll say 1965. Okay, but again, very similar to the weekly. Same area of rejection, right? So that's where price drove down before in the past. And also, if you guys take a look at that candle that I just circled or squared off, you're gonna notice that it has no bottom wick. So no bottom wick. You guys know what that means. High chance price will come down, especially with clean traffic, to create that bottom wick before it decides on where it wants to go next. Now, my only issue with the weekly is you have no top wick, and I have no idea if you're gonna reject or if you're not, or sorry, create a top wick or not create a top wick, right? In this case, you have a day left. Chances of you creating a top wick and coming down again is very slim, especially in a day, unless you have some next type of volatile movement today. But if you were to flip bullish, you're just gonna flip bullish probably and end up closing bullish today, right? Because you have a day left. So the price ends up going up today, and the day closes again in a couple of hours, or I lied, the day closes tomorrow, right? Chances are you're gonna close bullish on the daily tomorrow for us to drive up for next week, right? So there's no other way where price can really come up unless it closes bullish, right? But you have a week, you have a day left, and looking left, you have clean traffic. So there's a possibility you could continue to push down, right, towards the next support. Now, again, we don't know what's going to happen. We have day left, but due to current price and where price is headed and where price looks like it's headed towards, it's going to look like it's coming down towards 1957, right? Which is pretty good. Again, that's a range of 340 pips. Now, that doesn't mean I'm just going to take a sell here and hold until that weekly support, right? I'm going to wait for price to line up with my analysis using the small time frame. So we discussed the monthly, we discussed the weekly. The monthly broke the lows, remember? The weekly, clean traffic, that kind of has no bottom wick, areas of rejections at 1957. Now we go down to a daily. So same shit that I did in the monthly on the weekly, I'll go down and do it on the daily, right? So now you drop to the daily. What are you gonna see here? The daily, no bottom wick. All right, so think about it now. So like, it's like, okay, monthly, you broke the lows, cool. Could that just be the breakout lows for us to come back up? Because it's still a bullish candle and it still closed above the range, and also it has no top wick. The daily no bottom wick, can that just be the weekly creating a top wick now for tomorrow? Go down to daily, right? No bottom wick. So any given point, this daily could just reject, come back into the ranges, and tap into the resistance. Again, your resistance next up is going to be likely here at what level is that? I have no idea. Let's see. This level is 1904. All right, so 1904 is your next resistance. Any given point today, price can come up, tap 1904. One, create a top wick for a daily drive back down, but the chances are lower today due to the fact that you have no bottom wick. No bottom wick means that you have no range to continue further down, right? So it's more of a 50-50 now, going from like an 85 or whatever it is, right? I don't know what the exact percentages, but again, higher probability to lower probability that's going to continue to push down now due to no bottom wick. There's still a possibility, so I don't want to hear anybody saying, but Don, you're looking for bias today only. We're looking, again, it's just part of the analysis. We're just trying to see what's happening on off of probabilities, right? And probability shows that no bottom wick, chances are that you're going to drop down is a lot lower, right? So understand that. So if the chances are a lot lower to drive down, can we get some bias today, right? Maybe we can. Just drop down to a small time frame, do the same shit again, right? So monthly, again, no top wick, broke the lows. Weekly, what did it do? Clean travel to the left. That candle on the weekly that we're mirroring has no bottom wick, and you have areas of rejections at 1857 on the weekly. The daily, no bottom wick, could continue to push up today, right? So we see how it's starting to kind of slowly line up, right? So daily no bottom wick, 4 hour count starting to reject the support here. You're gonna see that there's some type of support that was formed at 1892. Another support formed down here at 1887. Those are your two ranges. The only thing that I don't like with the 4 hour candle is that I had no bottom wick. I was actually expecting a bottom wick before we continue to push up. I'm guessing due to the fact that these candles already grabbed liquidity, that was enough for your drive to push up towards 1897, right? So looking like we came up to tap this resistance here. So that's your support there. Let's go ahead and draw this up as support. Okay, cool. So this is your support. This is your resistance, right? So that's your range you're in. So any given point in this range here, since that's the range you're in, you can come up and fill the range, right? If you're rejecting support, your next major level is 1902, meaning that eventually price must tap 1902 before it decides on where it wants to go next, right? So you might end off rejecting here and not actually tapping 1902, right? You might end up doing something like this, for all I know, right? But there's a high chance the next candle will come up, continue to push up, create a top wick, and tap into that range before it decides on what it wants to do next. What I mean by what it wants to do next is, if price was bearish today and it wanted to drive down, it's got to grab liquidity. If this is a 4 hour time frame and this is your resistance, you're likely going to grab liquidity at the resistance at 1902 areas, right? 1902, 1904 in those zones there. So eventually down the road, even if you were to drive down today, you got to create you got to tap into 1902 and create some range there, right? Because it's likely not going to just reject like this, probably. I mean, it might, but likely not, where you see a candle just push up and then, for instance, like you're not just going to see this, right? Before seeing the push down, you're likely going to see price push up today, tap into 1902, and then it could be this time frame, it could be the 1 hour time frame, but it's going to start to form some ranges here, right? It's going to start to form some ranges. So once it forms that range, and it's still respecting 1902, because that's a level that either could continue to push past or price could reject that. If you were to reject it, you'll probably see price will grab liquidity first for rejecting it like that, maybe even breaking these highs, tap into 1906, 1908, and then that'll be a push down to retest the lows, right? And continue further down. That's what you'll see if price was to continue down towards the next support, right? So like that's what I'm saying. Like 1902 eventually gotta get tapped. Will be the current 4 hour candle? I don't know, right? But I'm looking left there at your next support. It's gonna be 1987. So what that means is if price were to retest the lows, it's gonna come down, tap 1987 before it makes a decision on where it wants to go next, right? For if you were to come down. Okay, cool. So that's the 4 hour time frame. Understand that. That's what I'm looking at. The 1 hour, 30, 15. I don't really go too much in depth in. I go to the time frame that makes the most sense for me in terms of clean traffic, in terms of what areas we're tapping, and structure. Just whatever has the most data. In this case, I'm using probably the 15. It looks the cleanest. So the 15 here is what I use. I'll probably go and mark this up as my resistance up here, right? Because this is the range we're in. So if this is the range you're in, that's your resistance, and this is your strong support down here at 1890, right? This is the 80 pip range that you're in right now. So what can happen here is think about it. Remember I said chat about remember I said about 1902 on the 4-hour time frame that could get tapped because that's your next resistance, right? Let's go back to that. 1902, 1901. I would assume that if you were to continue to drive up, you gotta grab liquidity first. Now I'm looking left there. I'm gonna look left to see if there's any areas to the left where price rejected and then popped up towards 1901 or 1902. It could be this support, it could be this support down here. I'm assuming it's gonna be somewhere down here at 1895 before we push up, but I could be wrong. So let's just look left and see what's up, right? So I'm looking to see like basically the same movement to the left, the same structure that you formed in the past where price drove up towards 1901 after creating some type of support or retest. So let's look left there and let's see where it is. So cool, right there, right? So what level is that? You came up, you tapped 1902. Where'd you come down, grab liquidity beforehand? You grab liquidity somewhere in these boxes here. 1892, right? So same thing happened here really as well, right? You kind of have the same area of rejection. So 1893.793. I guess that was, yeah, perfect right there then. So it wasn't 1895, but I guess 1893. I'll assume that price, before price comes up to tap 1902, it's likely going to come down to tap 1893 first before it makes that decision. So what you might see during this candle here is you might see price start to like form structure, maybe respecting the support. All of a sudden you're gonna see a candle look something like this, right? That might be the news candle, that might be whatever, but that would be enough for me to take a buy at around 1893 to continue pushing up towards 1901. Again, price doesn't have to do this, but if I'm looking for buys today towards 1901, that's what I'll look for, right? And if you don't tap 1901 and you don't get those rejections, then at any given point, going back to the 4-hour time frame, you could, what did I say about the 4 again? No, sorry, yeah, the 4 count was the bias going up towards 1901, right? Because you had no bond awake. So yeah, for sells, what you'll probably want is to see price like probably close below these ranges here. There's like a minor support right here to the left, current ranges we're in. So you want to see price start to close below, and then once it closes below those ranges, you want to see some type of resistance form, right? Because again, this could be the liquidity for all I know, but I'd rather not take sells here because you just fly up straight towards 1902 at any given point. I'd rather wait for resistance to form and then some type of zucchini to form afterwards, right? So what that means is that I'll probably want to see some type of range here, right? And then closure below, grab a top wick, and then that'll be our entry, right? Entry would be somewhere up here at these areas. But again, price gotta reject first. Somewhere in these levels, it's gotta form that resistance, gotta form that support, gotta range a little bit. And then once it grabs liquidity on that structure, I'll look for sells coming down to retest the lows at 1890, right? Because if you're expecting 1894 to get tapped before pushing up towards 1901, right? It'll make sense if you just take sells there to come down towards 1894 anyways. So you can catch the buys and you can catch the sells today.